This morning I'm going to share the story of how I came up with the name Highbay, and I'm also going to tell you the story about my best friend ever, Preston High. So when I was 11 years old, I moved to Stillwater, Oklahoma, which is the home of OSU, Go Cowboys, and I was from a little bitty town in Oklahoma called Pryor, Oklahoma, and I was this little chunky kid. I moved to Stillwater, and Pryor, I knew everybody. When I got to Stillwater, there was a couple things that mattered that hadn't mattered before, and one of those was what I was wearing, what I looked like, all these things, right? And I didn't know anybody, and it was huge. It was culture shock. I went from this little town where I grew up with everybody. I mean, the rich kids and the poor kid, we all just hung out together. It was one of the coolest things ever. Pryor is no longer like that, by the way. But anyway, moved to Stillwater. My mom was going back to school, and we lived in this little trailer park, and I was alone, and I grew up on country music, right? And I had never even listened to rock music. It was never even a thought in my mind. Well, when we got to Stillwater, two stories here. Is actually going to be one about Preston and this really cool story about my mom. I wanted to fit in, and I told my mom I wanted these band t-shirts at Hastings, if y'all remember Hastings. And we went to look at I think it was the Incubus t-shirt, Limp Bizkit, because these were the bands at the time, you know. And I'm going to be real honest, I didn't know a single song by any of the bands at the time. Now, Incubus is one of my favorite bands, and I don't care what you say, Limp Bizkit is amazing. But we went back to my mom was like, they were like $20 a piece, and my mom was like, I can't afford that. And so she said, let's go to Walmart, we'll buy you some shirts, and then we'll get some transfer paper. I'll find a picture online and we'll print it off. So we did that, and my mom ended up making me like 5 or 6 shirts, and they looked good, like they looked legit. And so I wore them, and then I got made fun of because people would be like, what's your favorite song? And of course I didn't know. Also, don't wear band shirts of bands that you don't know the songs to. That's kind of messed up. Anyway, so this is where Preston comes in. Preston came in and defended me. Me and him had a class together or something. I can't even remember how we met. But he was from the country club in Stillwater. His parents were raised him in the country club. We were from two different worlds, man. But he became my best friend, my confidant. I mean, we were inseparable from 11 years old. For most of our lives, we had a little period where we had a spat, but we did everything together. We learned how to live. He had moved to Texas for a little bit. He came back. I mean, he was when I think about even today, like the person who knew everything about me, all my secret, you know, everything. I'm a man of God. Today I've given my life over, and I try to live a different way, so I don't have as many secrets. And I've learned to try to be honest. I still panic lie. If there's anyone out there that panic lies, you're not the only one. I will make up the most ridiculous stuff in awkward situations. I still do that to this day. I try to correct it. Anyway, back to Preston. Preston and I went through a bunch of stuff, drug use, you know, I think typical teenage stuff. Apparently it's not always the most typical stuff, but we loved music. This is the name Highbay, by the way. We loved music, and his last name was High, Preston High, and my last name was Bayless, and so we just kind of combined the two, and it became Highbay. And so in honor of Preston, that's why I named the channel Highbay. So anyway, Preston, moving on, he went through some stuff. He struggled with addiction and stuff as well. And I believe he ended up going to prison at some point, but it was like a work camp. And after that, he became a sound engineer and moved to Atlanta, met this wonderful woman named Helen. They got married. He he was doing fantastic in life, the best, you know, I'd ever seen him. And this is at the same point where I'm at the lowest. Like, I'm in and out of jail. I'm struggling really bad. Had a failed marriage. At this point, I've abandoned my son because of my addiction. All the bad stuff, you know, that we do in addiction. And when I got arrested the last time, Preston was one of the only people that supported me, and he ended up paying for a hotel room for me for like a month, and bought me a guitar because I hadn't had a guitar and all this other stuff. And he was just, I talked to him every single day. He was my main supporter, and I'd ended up getting clean, and I've been clean for a minute. And, you know, I'm really thankful that he got to see me get clean. But one day it was just out of nowhere, you know. He had a pulmonary embolism, and I might be saying that wrong. And he died, and they tried to work on him, and he didn't make it. And it was just kind of out of nowhere. I just talked to him the day before. He had said he didn't feel good, you know. But that was something that catapulted me to do better in life. I know sometimes we go through really hard things, and it's a struggle to make it through. But you know, he's the main motivation that I have today, because I know he's looking down on me, and I know that, like, he can see how good I'm doing, and I know he's proud of me, you know. But not only that, like, I started off trying to, like, make him proud of me, and somewhere along the line I became proud of myself, and I took pride in what I'm doing, and how I care about myself, and all those other things, you know. And so it's, you know, in a lot of these programs they say, like, don't give up before the miracle happens. But you know what they don't tell you is a lot of times we start doing it. They say you never get to the end until you start doing it for yourself. But man, I'm going to be honest. I think most of us don't do it for ourselves in the beginning. We do it for someone else, and I think that's okay. You know, along the line, just focus on that. And I think along the line, along the way, at some point, you're going to see that it does change. Your focus does change. Your motivation changes, and it does become about you. You become pride. You have pride in what you do. You know, one of the fastest way to get self-esteem is to build esteem. You know, do things that make you feel like a winner. Make your bed, wash your dishes, pay your bills. I mean, it's simple stuff, but it pays off in the end. But every day I wake up, and when I say my prayer, you know, I'm always grateful that I had Preston in my life, and I always just ask Jesus to give him a hug for me, you know, tell him I love him, and I can't wait to see him. So that's why we got that's how we got Highbay, and that's one of the things that when I started this channel, I knew I was going to have was that name. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.